Netflix have started distributing games, and I want to see how good they are. Now, they're not the first non-gaming company to do this recently. Both Google and Amazon have tried to great fanfare and not a lot thereafter. So are Netflix games going to be a flash in the pan, a steady growth aspect, or complete failures? Well, there's only one way to find out. By trying them. So welcome everybody, my name is Doragon and this is my review of Netflix games. Unlike the other recent arrivals in the gaming space, Netflix aren't gunning for the existing gamer. This is probably an extremely smart move. Most existing gamers can only afford one platform, and they are dyed in the wool for their existing platform. They chose it for a reason after all. So you would basically have to be doing everything that everyone else is doing, but better, to pull people away from their current platforms. Netflix appear to have realised that. And therefore, instead of going after the hardcore console or PC gamer, they have targeted what is probably the largest market of gamers available. The mobile gamers. You see, the Netflix games aren't available on their television app or browser. You can only access them through mobile. But why make such a choice when they have the capability to offer AAA games via their existing cloud infrastructure? Well, it's quite simple, really. They know their audience. You see, Google and Amazon stepped into the ring and arrogantly stated that they could do what Sony and Microsoft were doing, but better. And let's be brutally honest here, they both failed. Miserably. So Netflix didn't want to add to the pile of corporate disasters. They actually wanted to be successful. They therefore looked at the figures. There were 116 million PlayStation 4 consoles sold, and Xbox have confirmed that they sold less than half of that number of the Xbox One consoles. So let's say 55 million of those. To put some perspective on that, Apple sold roughly that many iPhones in the last 12 months. 15% of all smartphone sales worldwide in the last year were an Apple product. When you take all iOS and Android devices that are in the operation into account, you're suddenly looking at billions of potential customers rather than the low hundred millions. If you give those billions of people gaming through an app that they already use for entertainment, and it's perfectly suited for the device that they're on, well, you've got one heck of a recipe for success on your hands. So they're offering mobile games. But how does it work? If you look at this shot here, the games will appear on the home screen of the app if you access Netflix from a mobile device. When you click on a game that you don't yet own, it will come up with a button to Get Game. If you click or tap on that button, you are taken to the App Store for your platform, in this case iOS or Android, where you can then download the game and start playing it. You can, however, skip this entirely and go straight to the App Store on your device and search for Netflix Inc. as a publisher and see all available games on your platform from there. You can then download these games as you would any other mobile title. Accessing them is the same as well. Wherever the game's icon appears on your device, tap on that and you'll be playing the game in short time. The games vary in terms of fidelity and design, as one would expect from any mobile title. While Netflix are the publisher, they aren't the developers, so we have everything from Bejeweled clones to turn-based strategy and card games. There are 20 available titles across multiple different genres at the time of recording, offering a little something for everyone. So are they any good? Well, obviously the answer to this is subjective. Example, I like the original Bejeweled, but none of these Bejeweled-like games hit that same level of engagement for me. The closest I've ever come was Homescapes, because completing a level upgraded the house. But Netflix Nittons doesn't engage me at all. It's far too easy, and the in-between bits are annoying more than anything else for me. The golf, bowling and basketball titles are fairly standard touch display sports games. Flick the ball in the direction you want it to go, and pray to RNGesus that it goes in. For me personally, Into the Breach is the standout title offered by Netflix. It's an older title, sure, but having access to it in my pocket despite some weird idiosyncrasies like being unable to change the name of the save, is a huge boon. It's a great turn-based strategy game with mechs and kaiju, and for a self-published Steam-only indie title from 2012, to now have that in my pocket at all times for free is great. So there's always going to be something for someone, and what you may appreciate from this list of games is going to be different to what I appreciate. But all of them face the same challenges. Hardware. This is less of a concern on the performance front for those on iOS devices. Apple give you the same flagship processing chip in all of its devices launched within a specific release year. But iOS devices only accounted for 15% of sales last year, and around 20% of all smartphones on the planet. That means the majority of possible players are going to be using Android or older iOS devices, and the performance spectrum then is much greater thanks to the versatility of the Android platform, chipmakers like Qualcomm offering multiple levels of performance, and of course the slow and steady march of time and progress. Now I've tested these games on flagship devices with flagship chipsets, one from 2022 and one from 2020. I am running the Exynos 2100 processor in my S22 Ultra from Samsung, which is the 2022 model, and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Plus in my Tab S7 Plus, also from Samsung, which is the 2020 model. On both, I have noticed massive increases in the heat output of the device. Due to those increased thermals, I've noticed a bigger drain in battery while playing. Additionally, I have noticed the odd bit of sluggish performance in-game. This points, therefore, to poorly optimized titles that overuse the resources of the device, especially when I can play games like Call of Duty and Apex Legends on both mentioned devices with very little thermal increase or performance lag. This experience is on top of the line hardware, the best available in the Android market. So what would happen if you put these games on a mid-range or entry-level phone? It's not like it's just Into the Breach that causes this. A simplistic interface game like Exploding Kittens has the same effect, and Netflix Nittens is worse. Then, there's a storage concern. On my S22 Ultra, I have 1 terabyte of memory, so it's going to take me some time to fill that up. But there are phones still being sold with 32 gigabytes of internal memory. When the system on my S22 Ultra takes up 163 gigabytes, you can see the issues that downloading and using these games may face. Especially when a large portion of the possible player base don't care about mobile phone specs and have those mid-range or low-end devices. Performance and storage concerns aside though, these are all decent mobile games. With a couple of exclusives built off the back of Netflix properties, a couple of recognisable big names and your more mainstream mobile game stalwarts, there is a good selection that plays well and is generally enjoyable. If you can deal with the thermal increases and throttling of your device's performance, there is something in this small selection for everyone. I like that Netflix have gone a publisher route rather than a platform route with these games. It gives them much more scope for the future. As a publisher, as the person paying for the making or licensing of games, you can dictate what sort of game is made and what platform it is made for. It gives you so much future scope, and it doesn't lock you into a single ecosystem. Google and Amazon are currently struggling to get games on their gaming services because of the additional work required to port the games to new engines and platforms. With the small player bases of both Stadia and Luna, it just isn't worth it for the developers to put in the extra work to port their games, and neither provider makes games themselves that go on their own platforms. With Netflix, by making the games first, by distributing them on existing platforms, they have a much wider reach and easier development cycle than their counterpart fledgling competition. Once they have a catalogue of titles available, what's to stop them launching a new gaming platform at that point with a bunch of exclusive titles and cloud-based AAA games? Just like Microsoft have done with xCloud, which I talk about in this video here. In the meantime, thank you all very much for tuning in. My name is Doragon, this has been my review of Netflix games, and until next time, have yourselves a fantastic day, and take care.